The hopes of a North Queensland community have been crushed, with confirmation a light plane missing since Sunday crashed in bad weather, killing both people on board. The pilot, the son of a police officer, and his pregnant wife had just revealed to loved ones that they're expecting a baby girl. Joining us live now is Geoffrey Thomas, aviation expert from airlineratings.com. Jeff, this is such a tragic story. Do we know much about what might have happened here?
Look, unfortunately, as yet, the details are very, very sketchy. There is really no indication of what went wrong in this terrible tragedy. It'll take probably a few days before we get any preliminary ideas of what happened. And then, of course, the ATSB will be investigating it. And it might be several more months before we find out exactly what took place that tragically took these 3 lives.
Yeah, always horrible to see, and we'll be watching closely to see what that investigation finds. I did want to get your take on what's going to be happening this weekend. As we know, airports are bracing for, well, some of the biggest crowds they've seen since before COVID hit. Are we expecting some level of airport chaos to go along with that?
Look, inevitably we will have airport chaos. I mean, it's interesting. Airports stress people out. There was a study done by Dr. David Lewis in the United Kingdom from the Mine Lab in 2007, and they surveyed people going through Heathrow Airport, and they found that the stress level of the participants was higher than a Formula One driver, higher than police-facing rioters, and higher than a fighter pilot in combat. So, you know, unfortunately, we walk into an environment where there are literally thousands and thousands of people. That automatically stresses people out. Now, back in 2007 was before the global financial crisis, before COVID. The stress levels of passengers today is much higher. You know, there's so many things happening around us that are causing us stress, cost of living, interest rates, etc. So people are walking into the worst possible environment. There's going to be delays and there's going to be some grief. There's no question about it. There's not much we can do about it. You put thousands and thousands of people into a confined space, make them basically stripped to nothing for security. And of course, you have delays as well. There'll be inevitable delays. So it's going to be stressful, and people have kind of got to take a big chill pill and just understand it's going to be an hour or two of hassle to get through to the to airside and onto their aircraft.
I'd love to see in that survey if they drilled down to parents trying to take young children on board with them. I think those levels would be astronomical in terms of stress in airports. What about bags? You mentioned there'll be delays and queues and security checks and that sort of thing. Is it wise to avoid checking in bags if you can help it?
Well, look, if you can help it, yes. I mean, the other thing too is have a serious look at what you really need. And don't laden yourself down with 10 of this and 5 of that and 4 of that. Because we all know when we look at our photos after our holiday, gee whiz, I wore the same shirt 4 days in a row and the same slacks or whatever. You really do need to not take everything you own on an aeroplane, including your emotional baggage. So yes, if you can avoid checking a bag, and then if you're carrying stuff on, of course, take the minimum that you need. Also, things like, if it's not too late, buy yourself an exit row, buy yourself a seat with more space. In some circumstances, you can buy the seat next to you if it's empty. Of course, over Easter, understandably, flights are going to be full, so those opportunities don't exist as much. You also should get to the airport earlier and get through to the other side, then relax in one of the coffee shops or bars. Don't drink too much. You know, just be sensible. That's really a good advice as well.
Very practical tip, Jeff. So what about capacity? Are we back now to pre-COVID capacity on domestic? And what about international routes, or is it taking a while for the international travel to come back to those levels?
Yeah, domestic capacity is almost back to pre-COVID levels, and I think over Easter it will be at. pre-COVID levels. International is still dragging its feet. There are many, many airlines that have not returned to Australia or have returned to Australia in limited flights. One example is, Cathay Pacific that suffered terribly up in Hong Kong. Other ones, Thai International, Garuda, they've returned to various ports, but not all. So yes, international capacity is still severely restricted. And that is going to be the case probably for another 6 to 12 months before airlines are back to what we would consider pre-COVID levels. And of course, the other thing is passengers or holiday makers are more inclined to travel domestically, shorter distances maybe to the Pacific Islands or to New Zealand. They're not wanting to roam too far away. So, Europe is taking a lot longer to recover, as is the United States.
Geoff Thomas, always appreciate your analysis. Thank you. Let's hope everyone takes up your tips and that the Easter travel goes smoothly and safely for everyone this weekend. Thank you.
It's a pleasure.